Go ahead and have a seat. We just kind of want to go over some things. I'm thinking you have an idea of what's going on a little bit.
Yeah, we're going to try to got a warrant for attempted murder or murder.
This is John Hare. He's currently being held at a Minnesota jail for the suspected murder of his friend, David Nelson. John believes that the police have nothing on him and has a plan to get away with the murder, but he doesn't know about one important detail. John had called his kids right after the murder, and they'd record the entire thing.
Can I know who's gone?
Absolutely not. Johnny, sometimes in life people gotta take out the trash.
On the 23rd of February, police were called to a trailer park in Coon Rapids, Minnesota by a distressed woman. The woman had found her own brother beaten to death on the floor of his trailer home. Police arrived just minutes later to investigate the scene.
Just sit out here, right? Excuse me. Jesus Christ. Alright. This is a serious crime scene on this one.
Yep. Do you want CID, CSU, ME, everything?
Officer Gertz quickly checks David for a pulse, but he's long dead. Immediately, Gertz radios to tell both the fire department and the paramedics that there's no point in coming, as it's far too late to save him.
You got a hammer?
What do you mean you got a hammer somewhere?
Yeah, the hammer's right here.
Okay.
I mean, he definitely got his throat cut. Looks like he's got a head injury.
I know it's not, we need to clear the rest of the residence, though. Make sure there's no one else in here.
Okay.
Even a cursory glance of the scene signaled to the cops that a fight had ensued there. The crack in the drywall was the biggest giveaway to the cops that someone else was involved. Now their main concern is the possibility that the suspect could still be hiding inside.
Police department!
I'm going to stay back here and I'm just going to go through it, okay?
Anybody here? It's clear.
What the heck happened?
King 13.
The house is clear, but the horrifying scene in the bedroom raises even more questions. The officers are baffled by what could have happened here. It's a scene unlike anything any of them have ever seen before.
There's blood all over the back bedroom. There's like a bloody... It's everywhere. It's all over his bed. There's blood all in the back bedroom. He looked like he was in bed, maybe to start. There's footprints all over too.
Crime scene detectives arrived soon to take over the case. They immediately ruled it as a homicide. Alongside the dent in the wall, they found blood on almost every surface in the house, trauma wounds on David's head, and a hammer discarded near his body. Most startling, however, was what they found right next to David's body. 2 phones, one belonging to David, and the other traced back to a man named John Hare. As the police dug deeper, they discovered that John lived just down the road from David, and the two knew each other well. There were no signs of animosity, making it strange, but not impossible, that things escalated into such violence. That was until they examined the voicemails John had left on his phone.
Call me back, please. It's very, very important. I do need your help. Please call me. Mayday. Mayday, mayday, mayday. Red pineapple. Keep screaming. Keep.
The voicemails were left for a girl named Heidi, and it seemed John was using code words. He clearly intended to cover his tracks, but instead, the messages came across as highly suspicious and even more sinister.
Hey, can you call me back as soon as possible? It's pretty important. Like right now, red pineapple. I mean this. Hey, mayday, mayday, mayday. I've got a red pineapple right here in front of me. Red pineapple. Damn. Heidi, this person is not doing good. Please call me. He tried to commit. I don't know what to do. Yeah, you did, you bastard. Hey, please call me. This guy's fucking... What the f*** is wrong with you, dude? Why would you do that? And why would you even call me to help you? You're f***ing tripping, man. Why would you do this to yourself?
It was clear that John had done something horrifying. In the background, you can even hear David coughing and shouting at him while he was just barely clinging to life. After fully examining the scene and the voicemails, the detectives pieced together a chilling theory of what might have happened. At around 9 p.m. on the day of the murder, John let himself in and walked straight to David's bedroom. Angry words were likely exchanged before at some point, John began to attack David, beating him and slicing him with a knife, covering his bed and pillow with blood. At some point, David managed to get up and they wrestled their way into the kitchen. John then slammed David into the far living room wall before throwing him to the ground. He then retrieved a hammer and used it to cause severe trauma to his head. With these new revelations, the cops' next step was clear: track down Heidi, the woman John had left messages for, as she almost certainly knew what had happened. Once they questioned her, she was more help than they ever could have imagined. This is Heidi's story. After she heard these voicemails, she had allegedly gone straight to David's place, where she found John covered in blood from head to toe. On the living room floor was David, still alive, but bleeding out. Apparently, John tried to maintain the story that David had done this to himself, to which David chillingly and unexpectedly replied, "No, I didn't. He kicked my ass," while barely clinging to life. Terrified, Heidi helped John clean off and then fled, too scared to call the cops. It was clear to them now, John was, without a shadow of a doubt, David's killer. The only problem now was tracking him down. By this point, John was on the other side of the country, 1,200 miles away in Nevada, after booking a one-way plane ticket, possibly the most suspicious thing anyone could do in these circumstances. When John was apprehended, detectives from Minnesota flew out immediately to interrogate him. But to their surprise, John was smarter than they thought.
Well, here's the deal, man. We want to talk to you about why you're here and stuff. Okay. Lots going on. Glad that brought you on here. Glad that brought us here.
I think you hire for family.
Okay.
Remember, this isn't a lie. His daughters, as well as his brother and ex-girlfriend, all live down here in Nevada. His reason to come down here was definitely influenced by this, but it's difficult to know if that reason was sinister or just for an alibi.
We just kind of want to go over some things, and then, I'm thinking you have an idea what's going on a little bit.
Yeah, you track with got a warrant for attempted murder.
Sure. What we want to do is we want to talk to you about that. Before I ask you any questions, I have to read your rights.
I want to talk to a lawyer, though.
You don't want to talk to us?
I'll talk to you guys, but I want to talk to a lawyer.
Okay. Right.
Clearly, John knew his rights and ended the interrogation before it even started by invoking his right to a lawyer. However, this only bought him a little time, as detectives would soon discover a crucial piece of evidence that would put John dead to rights. Along the voicemails to Heidi, police also found FaceTime calls from around the same time. Calls made to a number out of Nevada that actually belonged to his teenage daughter. After contacting her, police uncovered what could only be described as a smoking gun. His own daughters had recorded a phone call on Snapchat that John made to them immediately after murdering David.
Your mom is important.
Okay. I'll tell her when she gets home.
Your mom needs to call me, like, immediately, alright?
Alright.
And I mean that from the bottom of my heart, Johnny. Have your mom call me. Alright, you have the number that I sent you?
Yeah.
Her name is Heidi. You tell her to get here right now. You tell her it's important. And to hurry up, please. Johnny, I'm not playing.
Alright, I texted them.
Can you text her 911? Look, she is going to be scared. And trust me, she's tripping. Johnny, I can't talk about this.
The same hunt.
I want you to know that I'm proud of you. I'm proud of your sister.
These calls appeared to have been made after the voicemails John sent to Heidi, as his desperation grew. It's likely he didn't want to involve his kids, but when Heidi didn't respond, he felt he had no other option. John is clearly extremely stressed out, but the strangest part is the way the kids are reacting. From an outside perspective, these kids are on a call with their dad, who's just taken the life of an innocent man. Knowing this, their behavior is extremely eerie and deeply saddening.
I think it's 702.
Can you say it again?
702.
Okay.
Jeremiah, call me right now.
Alright.
Johnny, this is very, very important.
Okay.
God damn it. Fuck. Johnny, I love you guys, alright? Yeah, your grandma and your mama call me like right now.
Okay.
But even more eerie is what John decided to do right after they called Heidi. Right now, he's sitting next to a man that he's just killed, and he decides to jump on FaceTime with his kids, making sure the body is out of sight. Possibly to calm himself down, he spends some time doing this.
Do you know how to sign?
Yeah.
Can you, like, well, not your name, ding dong.
Oh.
Sign language.
Oh, no.
Of course not. Alright, so I'm gonna show you this, alright? That's how you say I love you.
Why does this matter, bro? I don't get it.
Oh my God, I've never seen something like this. Of course you don't know how to sign. Not your dad, dumb.
Don't be like me.
At the time of these recordings, Snapchat only allowed you to record for 60 seconds at a time. It was between these recordings that John must have said something that made the kids suspicious, as in the next and final recording, their demeanor changed, and John said the words that would eventually be used against him in court.
Alright.
I know that I love you both.
Can I know who's gone? Can I know who's gone?
Absolutely not.
Why?
Because they're a bad person. And it's not me. Johnny, sometimes in life people gotta take out trash. And I want you to know I love you both, alright?
Alright.
And I'm proud of you.
The kids quite simply wouldn't have figured out what John meant by all of this. Despite what you're being told, you'd never instantly assume that your dad has killed someone, which is likely why they were still laughing and being quite so emotive about everything. Either way, it's possible that being this lighthearted is what convinced John to keep talking and incriminate himself to the point where police felt comfortable with having another conversation with him. His mentions of Heidi also later convinced the detectives to reach out to her, putting the final pieces of the puzzle together. They now well and truly felt as though they had everything they needed to put the pressure on John, and they pulled him aside for what was initially supposed to be a DNA search warrant. But it quickly turned into another discussion about the case that would go much, much differently than last time.
You said that one lawyer present with you while speaking with us. So because of that, I don't even want to discuss the case with you because I don't want to inadvertently ask you any questions without having a legal representation.
I don't even know how this works, man, and I don't mean to interrupt you, with all due respect. I don't know how any of this stuff works. I've never been accused of murder. I've never been involved in any kind of thing like this. And most importantly, especially as one of my friends. What do I have to do to clear my name, and what needs to happen? This is the most scariest thing I've ever been through in my entire life. And I don't know what to say or what to do. I've watched in murder shows. The last person I'm going to hurt is the one person I have as a freaking friend, my mobile home park. But what do I have to do?
Well, like I said, you asked for an attorney. I mean,
Can I unask?
John is suddenly much more talkative, likely as he's now realized that the detectives have some real dirt on him, and wants to attempt to clear his name by talking as much as possible, and giving his side of the story. This is a mistake, as he'll end up contradicting himself in the facts, putting himself even deeper in the hole.
I just wanted to say that when I knocked on Dave's door and Dave said, "Come in," and Dave was freaking alive, he was bleeding. And I think the old man fell and hit his head. He would drink vodka, would drink a bunch. But he's hit his head more than one time drinking with me. He'll fall and hit his head and get f***ed up. I'm afraid of exactly what's going on right now. The mobile home park manager hates my guts. I can't even call the police. He's got me underneath such a tight freaking restriction that I don't even know what the fuck's going on. He's got this on camera. I'm serious, man.
Already, things aren't lining up. The break in the drywall could have resulted from David stumbling into it on his own, but the blood patterns make this unlikely. Plus, he hasn't explained the cuts on his throat or even the hammer that was found right next to his body. It seems like he's recognized this as well, and he's getting stressed out, so he continues to spiral, getting even more passionate as he goes.
I tried picking up Dave. He was on the ground, leaning against his refrigerator. I'm like, "Dave, come on, man. Don't do this to anybody. Don't fucking die on me, man. They're not going to complain. They're going to trip on me, dude." I tried helping. I asked him, "Let me call 911, dude. What do you want me to do?" He said, "Let me put me in my bed." Put me in my bed. I'm like, "Dave, I can't lay you down. You're going to die, buddy." He's the only friend I got. That old man saved my life. And I was going through an alcohol detox, and Dave kind of walked me through it. He's been more of a mentor in AA. I feel horrible because I should have called 911, and it's my fault because I didn't. I was scared. I didn't know what to do, man. I panicked. I'd never seen anything like that before in my entire life. We have the same birthday. I called him the old man and I was scared to call him 911.
John isn't going to win any Oscars for this performance. On top of the hilariously fake crying, it doesn't make sense why he wouldn't call 911. If he loved David as much as he's saying, he'd want to do anything to save his life. He said he wouldn't just leave him there to die, but that's exactly what he did. The forensics say this incident had to have started in this bedroom, but John doesn't even mention it, likely because that's where he actually got those bruises from, after David started to fight back.
How are his sisters? Huh?
I told you, man, I can't talk about the case.
I don't know what to say, man.
I need to
Do whatever you guys want.
Well, we're here not to question about anything. We're here because we have a search warrant for your DNA. It's not sit down. And if you want to talk about this stuff, then what we can do is we can set up an interview. If there's some legal things that you have to go through, like on making sure that you understand your rights.
I just knew exactly what happened, and I wanted to cooperate 100%, you know?
So, John, we got to serve this warrant real quick.
Sure.
We're still right here. You're trying to jump all the way to the end. Let us get through this step first, and then we can talk about the step afterwards.
I should have called 911, but I was scared. I was afraid to have contact with the police. I'm scared to do this.
In court, it was hard to argue against the evidence. The voicemails to Heidi, the videos from his kids, even testimony from Heidi saying she'd seen them arguing before and had to defuse the situation herself. On top of that, John had a history of violence and domestic abuse. Considering all this information, a jury eventually found him guilty of second-degree murder, with intent but not premeditated, and sentenced him to 32 years behind bars.